Hit subscribe and buckle up, because this isn't your average documentary. This is nature, history, and science on espresso and bad decisions. Let's dive into the madness.
So many questions. Why is the world spinning? Why is the moon keeping its orbit? Can rockets fly backwards? The facts you didn't know you needed. The Useless Show.
Potatoes went to space before some countries got color TV. In 1995, NASA grew potatoes on the Space Shuttle Columbia to test space farming. So, technically, potatoes are more intergalactic travelers than most of us. Somewhere in space, there's probably a lonely potato floating around wondering why nobody added butter. The old South Pittsburgh Hospital in Tennessee, which was turned into a train station, is known for being one of the most haunted places in the U.S. Imagine waiting for your train while ghostly apparitions and creepy sounds surround you. Maybe the only thing scarier than missing your train is being stuck with a ghost as your seatmate. Designers who make unisex often forget to actually accommodate the differing body types of men and women. Unisex clothing often fits men better because it's designed with broader shoulders, and women's figures get the short end of the stick. It's like the concept of one size fits all really just means one size fits the male body. In some sign languages, there are signs specifically for swearing, and they're so creative it makes spoken insults look lazy. Imagine flipping someone off with 3 fingers, a head tilt, and an eyebrow raise. It's practically performance art. Some psychopaths have a reduced startle response, meaning they don't flinch at loud noises or scary things like normal people. While most of us would jump at a sudden bang, psychopaths might just sit there blinking slowly like a glitchy NPC waiting to ruin someone's life. In today's digital age, it's not uncommon for people to suffer from a condition called texting thumb, which is essentially repetitive stress injury from typing too much on their phones. This can cause pain, swelling, and even tendonitis in your thumb, making texting feel more like a workout than communication. People who procrastinate are often perfectionists. They'll delay tasks because they fear they won't do them perfectly. So instead of starting a project, they sit around and worry about making it flawless. That's like avoiding a party because you're afraid your dancing won't be flawless, and then not dancing at all. Saregomapa was once sung to animals. In ancient Indian villages, farmers literally sang saregama notes to their cows and buffaloes. The belief? It made them give more milk. Imagine a cow standing there judging your vocal range like a grumpy talent show judge. Moo, flat note, 0 milk today. In Japanese folklore, if you mistreat your umbrella, yes, the thing that saves you from rain might turn into a one-eyed, hopping ghost with a giant tongue. Imagine being late for work, and your umbrella starts chasing you down the street like, "Forgot me again, huh?" Broccoli is basically a lab-created mutant. Broccoli didn't naturally grow in the wild. Humans bred it from a wild mustard plant. In fact, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, kale, and Brussels sprouts are all the same species, just different versions created by selective breeding. It's like the vegetable version of a bizarre reality show spin-off, where everyone looks related, but insists they're totally different. Chihuahuas are the living proof of humans wanting chaos in their pockets. They are descendants of the ancient Tachichi dog from Mexico, but human breeders shrank them down into jittery, ankle-biting gremlins that could fit inside a teacup. The result? A 3-pound dog with the confidence of a lion and the nervous energy of a caffeine-addicted squirrel. Saregomapa notes were linked to planets. Ancient musicians believed that each note corresponded to a planet in the solar system. So technically, singing badly wasn't just embarrassing, it was messing with cosmic energies. Forget karaoke, these people thought missing a note might cause a solar eclipse. Folk songs were actually secret gossip channels. In many Indian villages, women used folk songs to throw shade at in-laws or complain about their husbands, but in code. These spicy lyrics sounded innocent until you realized they were calling someone lazy, bald, or stingy, all while clapping along in rhythm. Tomatoes were once displayed like exotic jewelry. In Renaissance Italy, tomatoes were so rare and suspicious that people didn't eat them. They placed them as fancy decorations in their homes. Yes, some people used to decorate tables with what we now squish into ketchup packets. History really had weird interior design goals, and Sardinia, Italy, has one of the highest concentrations of centenarians, people who are more than 100 years old. The secret? Goat cheese, wine, and climbing hills like it's a gym membership. Their version of cardio is chasing goats uphill at age 102. Have you ever considered being electrocuted by a fruit? The electric fruit, or buzz button, Acmella oleracea, doesn't technically fizz, but when you chew it, your mouth feels like it licked a battery. It's like your taste buds are being electrocuted at a disco party. Numbness, tingling, and a tiny mouthquake included. In 1806, a chicken in Leeds, England, allegedly laid eggs with "Christ is coming" written on them. People freaked out, thinking the end was near. Turns out the owner was writing on the eggs and shoving them back inside the poor bird like a poultry prank gone demonic. The Great Disappointment of 1844 is exactly what it sounds like. Preacher William Miller convinced thousands that the world would end on October 22nd, 1844. Spoiler, nothing happened. People sold everything, then awkwardly realized they still had rent due and no apocalypse to blame it on. In 1902, many believed that Halley's Comet would poison Earth's atmosphere with toxic gases. People bought comet pills to survive. Yes, humanity literally trusted a random guy selling fake space medicine more than actual science. The comet left, people stayed, broke and breathing fine. For years, historians have argued about Napoleon Bonaparte's height. Some claimed he was short, others argued he was of average height for his time. Turns out the confusion stemmed from differing French and British measurements, so history was basically built on Napoleon's height being a political weapon. Talk about petty. In 2007, a man in the UK reportedly broke his neck from looking at his phone. The phenomenon, known as text neck, happens when people lean their heads down at an angle for prolonged periods, like while scrolling through social media or texting. It's like your phone's trying to break your neck while you're trying to stay connected. It turns out that many smartphones are designed to fit comfortably in male hands. The average woman's hands are smaller, so they often has a harder time using phones with big screens, especially when trying to reach across the whole display. So basically, it's like the phone was built to fit a giant, not your hand. The Bunsen burner, that iconic lab tool, was invented in 1855 by Robert Bunsen. Before that, scientists used candles or just plain fire to heat things. Imagine trying to conduct delicate experiments with a candle flickering in your face. So Bunsen thought, let's make fire more consistent, and gave us the glorious, predictable flame. Your immune system is as unique as your fingerprint, except it doesn't need a fancy business card. Its DNA markers are your personal security detail. No one else has the exact same immune system. So while your friends might get the flu, you've got the VIP, disease-free pass. Wild bananas were a nightmare, full of giant, rock-hard seeds that could break your teeth faster than a bad fall. So humans bred them into the soft, seedless versions we know today. The catch? Modern bananas are sterile clones. Every banana is basically a copy-pasted fruit living a weird monoculture existence. Early animators used live cockroaches to trace movement for bug characters. Yep, before motion capture, some studios just let roaches loose on paper and trace their scampering for authentic insect movement. Imagine getting paid to chase cockroaches for art. Disney's Steamboat Willie sound effects? Half were made using rubber gloves, pots, and literal farm animals. Legend says the squeaky sounds came from real mice accidentally present in the sound room. The mice were unpaid interns, obviously. The ancient Romans had a wild fashion rule. Purple dye was so rare and expensive that it was only allowed for emperors or high-ranking officials. The dye came from crushing thousands of tiny sea snails. Imagine wearing a royal toga and casually knowing your clothes were basically made from oceanic bug juice. In camel wrestling, yes, it exists. Camels are encouraged to wrestle each other during mating season to show dominance. The twist? Spectators gamble on the camels while dodging spit attacks and grumpy beasts charging into the crowd. Romantic? Nope. Wild. Absolutely. Early Japanese anime in the early 20th century was drawn on rice paper, delicate, easy to rip, and hilariously disastrous for action scenes. Imagine spending days animating a samurai fight only to sneeze and destroy half your work. One accidental cough and poof, there goes your epic showdown. Want more chaotic behind-the-scenes moments from animation history? Smash that subscribe button and watch our full video, because nothing says dedication like battling dust particles while drawing sword fights on snack paper. Some desert cactus fruits have a tiny fizzy sensation when eaten fresh due to trapped moisture and their odd internal chemistry. It's like nature wanted desert survival to feel like sipping flat soda while dodging thorns and heat stroke. South African legend says the tokoloshi is an evil little goblin that bites your toes while you sleep. This is why many people used to raise their beds off the ground. Not for style, but because nobody wants their feet chewed at 2 a.m. by a grumpy goblin. Tug of war was once an Olympic sport. And here's the kicker. Teams could be made of policemen. Yes, actual cops competed, swinging batons before matches and looking like they were about to break up a riot, not win a gold medal by yanking people across mud. In chess boxing, players alternate between chess rounds and boxing rounds. That's right. 1 minute, you're strategizing with pawns. The next, you're getting punched in the face. It's the only sport where you can win by checkmate or knockout. Nerds and jocks finally joined forces, violently. Trenches had a latrine zone that was basically a muddy horror story. There were specific parts of the trenches for relieving yourself, but since they were often overfilled or destroyed by shelling, soldiers would sometimes just go wherever they could. It wasn't uncommon to sleep beside a puddle of sewage while being shelled. Hygiene was a myth at that point. In 2011, Harold Camping predicted the rapture would happen on May 21st. Billboards screamed warnings worldwide. When May 21st passed peacefully, he pushed it to October. When October passed too, well, let's just say Harold became the king of, wait, I can explain. The human brain is weirdly wired. When procrastinators avoid important tasks, they don't just sit idly. They often end up doing totally random things. It's like you set out to write an essay, but somehow you end up reorganizing your entire bookshelf by color and size and the number of times you've actually read the books. Weirdly productive, right? In medieval times, people thought the moon controlled everything from mental illness to tides and even the menstrual cycle. It was as if the moon was this ancient force, gently or not so gently pulling on humans like a puppet master, making sure everyone acted a little stranger when it was around. In ancient Indian universities like Nalanda, monks and scholars debated for hours in public courts, often over the tiniest details of philosophy or science. Some debates lasted days, and yes, if you lost, it was considered social humiliation. It wasn't just about knowledge, it was about absolutely roasting your opponent with facts. In 2018, an influencer reportedly made $1 million by simply posting an ad for a luxury brand on Instagram. The catch? The influencer had no followers. Yes, zero. The company was just so enamored with the idea of influencer marketing that they went ahead and paid the influencer a hefty sum anyway. Moral of the story: sometimes it's not the followers, but the name and the idea that can create the hype. Bees see ultraviolet disco lights. Bees aren't just buzzing around aimlessly. They can see ultraviolet light, which makes flowers look like neon dance floors to them. What looks like a boring yellow daisy to us might look like a glowing Target sign saying, "Free nectar here," to a bee. Nature basically installed UV party lights just for insects. Sign language includes signs for abstract and ridiculous concepts too, like procrastination, awkward, or even alien invasion. Sign languages aren't just about basics. They have the sass, sarcasm, and bizarre humor baked right in without making a single sound. Humans would go to any length to water their food, even if it meant using their own secreted nitrogen. In parts of the world, people dilute human urine to use as a nitrogen-rich watering method. It's the golden elixir for plants, quite literally. Your tomatoes might taste fresh, but just don't ask about their hydration history. People used to believe bathing was dangerous. In a shocking twist of hygiene horror, many thought water could open your pores and let diseases sneak in like burglars. So instead of showers, they just layered perfume on top of filth. The Renaissance was where paintings flourished, but soap died a lonely death. Michelangelo hated painting the Sistine Chapel. He was a sculptor, not a painter, and spent 4 years grumbling upside down on scaffolding. He even wrote poems about his aching neck and paint-filled nostrils. So next time you stare in awe at that ceiling, remember it was brought to you by sheer rage and back pain. A London skyscraper nicknamed the Walkie-Talkie reflected sunlight so intensely that it melted parts of nearby cars. Park there too long and your bumper becomes soup. The solution: sunglasses for the building. Seriously, they gave it shades. Falling coconuts kill around 150 people worldwide each year. That's more than shark attacks. On tropical islands, lying under a palm tree might seem romantic, until one of nature's bowling balls takes you out like a beachside assassin. Kazakhstan has a navy for a sea that's disappearing. The Aral Sea has been drying up for decades, but the country still has a naval fleet. It's like organizing a water polo team in a kiddie pool. The ships are basically parked in what's now just a salty sandbox of broken dreams and fish ghosts. The octopuses are bullying teens of the ocean. In 2017, a diver in California reported being ambushed by a giant Pacific octopus that wrapped its tentacles around his head and tried to yank off his mask. The diver escaped, but not before the octopus stole his GoPro. That's right, the sea creature pulled off a literal underwater mugging. There was a goat that hated politics. In 2016, a Kenyan politician had to cancel a rally because an angry goat kept headbutting the podium and trying to climb onto the stage. The goat apparently had very strong opinions and no tolerance for campaign speeches. Democracy was defeated by a four-legged anarchist. Snake Island exists and humans aren't welcome. Off the coast of Brazil is Ilha da Queimada Grande, better known as Snake Island. It's home to thousands of deadly golden lancehead vipers. It's so dangerous, the Brazilian government banned humans from setting foot there. Basically, it's nature's version of a restraining order. Eat raw or undercooked meat, and you might score yourself a tapeworm that sets up camp in your intestines rent-free. These freeloaders can grow up to 30 feet long, turning your digestive system into a luxury worm condo. Imagine explaining to your doctor that your stomach ache is because you ate sushi and birthed a linguini-sized invader. Texting was a full-body workout. Sending a single LOL took approximately 37 thumb jabs thanks to T9 predictive text. Typing a love letter? That was a marathon. You had to press 7 4 times just to get an S. By the end, your thumbs were jacked like they were training for a secret Olympic event. Phones were basically indestructible tanks. Drop a keypad phone from a second story? It wouldn't even flinch. It would bounce once, land perfectly upright, and casually ask if you wanted to play Snake. These things could survive a meteor strike, and your grandma probably still has one that works better than your new smartphone. Artificial seeds can be injected into the ground like vaccines. Yep, farmers don't even need to bury these fancy nuggets. Some artificial seeds can be jabbed into the ground with syringes or seed guns, like giving Mother Nature a flu shot. That sprouts into spinach. In some rare conditions, fermentation due to heat or overripeness, watermelons can build up carbon dioxide and fizz when cut open, basically turning into a fruity landmine that explodes sweet, carbonated sadness everywhere. In Irish folktales, the Irish puka is a shape-shifting trickster that sometimes appears as a black horse or rabbit. It either gives you a wild, unwanted midnight ride or whispers doom in your ear. Basically, it's folklore's version of getting stuck in an Uber with the world's worst driver. Pugs are man-made snort machines. Ancient breeders thought it was adorable to squash a dog's face until it wheezed like an old accordion. Pugs' flat faces and huge eyes are the result of intense human meddling. They're cute, sure, but most of them struggle to breathe, sleep, or even eat without sounding like a tiny, exhausted tractor. There's a floating bamboo drip system in India. Some northeastern tribes rig bamboo pipes across mountains, using gravity to move water from streams to fields in slow, rhythmic drips. It's like nature's leaky plumbing system, but intentionally designed. Plumbing has never felt so majestic or mossy. Chickens run entire islands. On the Hawaiian island of Kauai, wild chickens roam freely like they own the place. After hurricanes destroyed coops in the 80s and 90s, the birds went rogue and multiplied like feathery anarchists. Now they strut around beaches, crow at 3 a.m., and challenge cars with zero fear. Want to see what happens when chickens go full rebel mode? Hit subscribe and watch our full video, because nothing says paradise like being ruled by a gang of clucking winged delinquents with zero respect for traffic laws. Some islands have their own languages. On the island of Silbo Gomero, part of the Canary Islands, people use a whistled language to communicate across deep ravines. That's right. People literally whistle entire conversations. So if you ever hear high-pitched tunes on a hike, they might not be birds gossiping. It's probably just island tea. A high-tech airport in Berlin spent billions, only to discover its fire evacuation doors opened inward. Yes, in a panic, people would be running into doors they had to pull toward them. Fire hazard meets reverse psychology. Some artificial seeds don't need pollination. These are the introverts of the plant kingdom. No bees, no romance, no awkward cross-pollination Tinder dates. Just pure cloned perfection from lab-grown embryos. Mother Nature's social life. Bypassed. In ancient China, pigs were raised under toilets so their poop could fall directly into a composting system below that fed crops. Yes, it was nature's very own poop-to-plate delivery system. Efficient? Yes. Hygienic? Let's just say food safety inspectors would have fainted. There's an entire academic field studying icon design. Yes, iconography in user interface design is a legit scholarly topic. Experts spend years analyzing whether a tiny gear or a 3-line hamburger best represents settings. It's basically emoji psychology with more existential crises. The bridge that wobbled itself into fame. London's Millennium Bridge opened in 2000 and immediately started wobbling like a drunken tightrope walker. Pedestrians walked in sync, unintentionally, creating a terrifying, human-powered earthquake. It had to be closed 2 days after opening. Moral: never underestimate the power of confused tourists. The non-functional escalator to nowhere. In a shopping mall in China, someone installed an escalator that went up to a wall, no doors, no hallway, just concrete. A beautiful example of build first, think later architecture. At least your journey ends with a firm metaphor for life. In Japan, an apartment building was built on one side of its foundation, literally not centered, and started leaning like a sleepy toddler. Turns out they didn't drill all the foundation supports. It was less engineering and more Jenga on hard mode. E. coli is a microscopic menace with bathroom consequences. This bacterium loves to hang out in undercooked beef and can turn a calm day into a toilet-based thriller. It causes explosive problems so intense they should come with a warning label. May cause you to rethink your entire dietary existence. Queen Elizabeth I basically wore her wealth. She was so obsessed with showing off that her gowns were covered in pearls, jewels, and embroidery thick enough to stop a blade. Her closet was less wardrobe and more bank vault with sleeves. Fashion was war, and Elizabeth came dressed to conquer. Napoleon's coronation robe had more gold than a pirate's fantasy. The guy didn't just want to rule France. He wanted to look like he swallowed Versailles. His robe had gold bees stitched all over it because bees symbolized immortality. Clearly, he wanted to sting his enemies with style. Peeing is a strategic sport in freezing landscapes. Holding in your pee at night actually makes you colder. Your body uses energy to keep that liquid warm. Solution? Brave the freezing night or use a designated pee bottle. Just don't mix it up with your Gatorade. Ever. Snow campers often dig pits inside their tents to trap cold air and create a warm air pocket for sleeping. But when 5 people breathe in a sealed tent, it turns into a human terrarium, and the place becomes a tiny sauna, complete with fogged-up walls and a vibe of group suffering. Being sad is part of the aesthetic. In the goth world, emotional breakdowns are practically fashion accessories. Crying under a full moon? Chic. Writing tragic poems with a raven nearby? Peak goth. Happiness is suspicious. Sadness is couture. Snow blindness is betrayal by sparkles. The sun reflecting off white snow can fry your eyeballs like laser beams. It's like being attacked by glitter from every direction. Forget your sunglasses and you'll stumble around camp, looking like a confused vampire at a rave. Some islands change citizenship like socks. The island of Merket in the Baltic Sea has a border so messy it's like someone doodled on a map. This tiny rock has switched hands between Sweden and Finland due to a lighthouse that was built in the wrong place. Locals joke that your nationality might change during your lunch break. Some landlocked countries have navies. Yes, you read that right. Bolivia lost its coastline in a war back in the 1800s, but it still has a navy. Why? To patrol Lake Titicaca. Nothing screams revenge fantasy like training sailors to one day get the ocean back. It's like owning swim trunks in the Sahara, just in case. Liechtenstein once accidentally invaded itself. This teeny-tiny, landlocked by landlocked countries has no military, but once its neighbor, Switzerland, accidentally invaded it during a training exercise. Instead of starting a war, the citizens reportedly offered the invaders drinks. It was the most polite invasion in history, no shots, just schnapps. The snake addiction was real. People would risk missing buses, failing exams, and burning dinner just to get a higher snake score. It was the OG mobile gaming addiction, and you had to master 90-degree turns like a digital contortionist. If your snake hit a wall, it wasn't just a game over. It was heartbreak. Ringtones were coded symphonies. Before MP3 tones, you had to compose ringtones manually using numeric sequences like some kind of tech Mozart. Your phone sang Beethoven in beeps, and if you got it wrong, it sounded like a robot crying underwater. And yes, we thought that was peak customization. Phone charms were a fashion statement of the past. Dangling trinkets from your phone was the 2004 equivalent of wearing a designer bag. Some were bigger than the phone itself. Your text message tone might be awful, but at least you had a glittery Pikachu swinging from your antenna like it was a fashion runway. Goth food is mostly beige, ironically. You'd think it's all black licorice and bat stew, but no. Most goths survive on coffee, toast, and existential dread. Some do dye their food black with squid ink or activated charcoal, though, just to remind their pancakes that life is pain. The language that whistles. In a mountain village in Turkey, people literally whistle their conversations across cliffs like chatty birds on espresso. Called kuş dili, this whistled Turkish is so detailed that villagers can gossip from half a mile away without a single breath wasted on actual words. Eavesdropping is an Olympic sport there. Piraha doesn't do past tense. This Amazonian language has no concept of time, numbers, or even specific words for colors. Ask someone in Piraha what they did yesterday and they'll respond like, "What is this yesterday you speak of?" It's like speaking to a time-traveling minimalist philosopher. Taya is basically human beatboxing. Ta, a language from Botswana, it has over 100 click sounds. Speaking, it sounds like someone trying to beatbox while chewing bubble wrap. Honestly, if you don't spit halfway through a sentence, are you even speaking Ta? Ancient Chinese emperors wore dragon robes with weather-controlling powers. Well, they thought so. These robes had specific dragon patterns and cosmic meanings that supposedly kept the universe in balance. So basically, the emperor was walking around in a royal weather app made of silk. King Louis XIV wore heels to look fabulous and intimidating. The Sun King made high heels fashionable because why should royalty touch the earth like peasants? His heels were red, his tights were tight, and his wigs could house pigeons. If you thought modern fashion was dramatic, Louis was the original runway menace. Medieval kings had underwear made of ermine fur. Yes, literal butt luxury, because what's the point of ruling half of Europe if your rear doesn't feel like it's being hugged by the fur of tiny snow weasels? Royalty didn't just dress to impress, they dressed to caress every inch, including the most royal cheeks. The squirrel terror of Brooklyn was a real danger. In 2020, a neighborhood in Brooklyn was under siege by one hyper-aggressive squirrel. Residents reported surprise ambushes where it leapt at people's necks, scratched their faces, and chased them down the street. No one knew why it snapped. Maybe it was just tired of being cute. A jogger in Germany was minding his business when a deer suddenly sprinted out of the woods, drop-kicked him with its front legs, and vanished. No warning, no motive, just a swift hoof to the chest. Forest justice is swift and deeply confusing. Want more wildlife moments that feel like they were scripted by a chaotic sitcom writer? Hit subscribe and check out our full video. Because sometimes nature doesn't hug, it throws hands or hooves. Boiling snow is a scam. You can't just toss snow into a pot and expect a magical full bottle of water. Snow is mostly air, so to get 1 liter of water, you'll need to collect a snowman's worth of flakes. It's like squeezing juice from a cotton ball. Frustrating, slow, and makes you question life choices. Ducks and fish can exist harmoniously in one backyard. In some parts of Asia, farmers practice rice fish duck farming. They flood rice fields, release fish to eat pests, and add ducks who eat weeds and poop nutrients. It's like hosting a chaotic Animal House party that magically grows rice. Tomatoes above, tilapia below is a more beneficial combination than you think. In vertical double farming, people grow vegetables on floating rafts over fish tanks. The fish poop feeds the plants, and the plants clean the water. It's a poop-powered salad bar that recycles itself. Somewhere, an eco-warrior is weeping tears of joy. Elephants walk on their tiptoes like 6-ton ballerinas. Beneath that chunky foot lies a secret. Elephants walk on the tips of their toes with a big spongy cushion under their heels. It's like they're wearing orthopedic Crocs made of jelly, silently moonwalking through the jungle without a sound. Elegant giants, but with orthopedic flair. Sloths have feet that scream, "I quit." Sloths' feet aren't made for walking at all. They can barely walk on the ground and just flop around like a fallen yoga student. Their long, curved claws are strictly climbing tools, so touching grass is an Olympic event for them, complete with slow-motion drama. Ducks have built-in anti-freeze feet. Ducks waddle around icy ponds like it's nothing, and that's because their feet have a clever heat exchange system. Warm blood from their body heats the cold blood returning from their feet. It's like their veins are tiny radiator pipes. Webbed feet, but make it science fiction. In Ethiopia, bees and crops share the same plot. Farmers plant flowers and food together, letting bees pollinate while also producing honey. It's double-duty farming with buzzing productivity. You grow corn and get free sweetener too. Just don't anger the staff. Early icons were only 16 pixels, and that's right. Those adorable little images were basically cave paintings made of digital dust. Now, artists had to cram entire concepts like recycle bin or my computer into a space smaller than a sesame seed. Talk about pressure. The trash can icon started as a physical desk bin. In early Apple systems, the trash can was modeled after a real bin found in the designer's office. So yes, your deleted files go into a pixel version of someone's actual garbage receptacle. Very personal. Very weird. Clippy from Microsoft Office was technically an icon with anxiety. Clippy wasn't just an assistant, he was an animated icon trapped in your document like a hyperactive paperclip ghost who desperately wanted to help, but usually just ruined everything. Basically, the office poltergeist. Banana trees and coffee plants are grown side by side in some tropical areas because banana trees throw shade, literally. They protect coffee plants from sunburn, and coffee thanks them by not dying. It's a farming bromance stronger than most human friendships. People once used animal bladders to water plants. Yes, medieval farmers occasionally used dried animal organs as water storage devices. Imagine squeezing a pig bladder like a gross Capri Sun just to hydrate your carrots. It's hydration, but with horror movie props. In ancient Sri Lanka, kings built tanks the size of lakes, but these weren't for warfare. They were massive artificial reservoirs with stone-cut channels, engineered thousands of years ago, that irrigated fields better than some modern systems. Who needs sprinklers when you've got royal water bunkers? Some desert farmers use buried clay pots called ollas to guide the roots downwards. Fill them with water, bury them near the roots, and let the soil suck moisture out slowly like a thirsty vampire. It's eco-friendly and creepy efficient. Also imagine tripping over one and thinking you just unearthed an ancient urn. Artificial seeds can contain baby plants in gel armor. These seeds are basically plant embryos, also known as somatic embryos, wrapped in jelly-like goo made of alginate. It's like if plants had their own wombs made of seaweed. You're not just planting a seed, you're launching a botanical space pod into soil. Parrotfish poop out whole beaches out. That soft white sand you love sinking your toes into in tropical places? Yeah, that's fish poop. Parrotfish chomp on coral, digest the tasty algae, and excrete the rest as fine sand. One fish can poop out hundreds of pounds of beach per year. Fish are literally crapping vacation vibes. Some fish climb trees. The mangrove rivolus is a fish that jumps out of water, wiggles across land, and hides in trees like a soggy ninja. It can breathe through its skin and survive out of water for days. Basically, it's a fish that decided swimming is so last season. The UK tried to leave colonies with style and debt. When Britain decolonized, it often left behind unstable governments and bizarre borders. In one case, they left Guyana with a constitution so confusing it triggered a civil crisis. It's like handing someone a car and removing the steering wheel for fun. Portugal clung to its colonies like an expired coupon. Portugal held onto African colonies until the 1970s, long after most other empires had let go. Their stubbornness led to years of brutal wars in Angola and Mozambique. It's the geopolitical version of refusing to leave a party you weren't invited to in the first place. The blobfish looks like depression with fins. Out of water, this deep-sea creature looks like a melted grandpa face and has become the poster child of I give up energy. But in its natural habitat, it's just a normal-looking fish. So it's not ugly, it's just a victim of air pressure and bad PR. Shrimp that punch louder than a gunshot. The mantis shrimp doesn't just punch. Its claw moves so fast it creates a shockwave louder than 200 decibels underwater, enough to shatter aquarium glass and stun prey. Basically, it's a tiny crustacean with the energy of a grenade and zero chill. Loud music can make cheese taste different. In one weird Swiss experiment, cheese was exposed to different genres of music. The hip-hop cheese reportedly tasted stronger than the Mozart cheese. So next time your cheddar sounds off-key, maybe it just needs better playlists. Exploding lungs at loud frequencies. If sound waves are loud and low enough, like over 180 decibels, they can cause actual lung rupture. In theory, a loud enough noise could literally turn your lungs into popcorn bags. So yes, there is such a thing as too much bass. Whales suffer from sonic confusion. Naval sonar tests have caused mass whale strandings because the intense underwater noise disorients their navigation. Imagine trying to walk straight while someone's blasting foghorns through your brain. It's like the ocean version of getting lost in a rave with no exit. Sonic booms can break windows and laws. Supersonic jets breaking the sound barrier have been known to shatter glass and startle cows into stampedes. Some places had to ban sonic booms because entire towns got jump scared out of their sleep, and one guy blamed it for spilling his soup mid-lunch. In 2000, people thought Y2K would destroy all technology. Computers were supposed to go berserk, planes were going to fall, and toasters were probably going to rebel. The clock struck midnight. Nothing happened, except for a record-breaking sale of bottled water and canned beans. Beethoven tried to cure deafness with ocean water and bark. As if losing his hearing wasn't tragic enough, Beethoven tried to heal it by pouring weird concoctions like hot oil, crushed bark, and even ocean water into his ears. Spoiler, it didn't work, but hey, he composed masterpieces while half marinating his head. Prince had a vault full of unreleased music, like actual treasure chest vibes. After his death, it was revealed that Prince had a secret vault in his Paisley Park home, stuffed with thousands of unreleased songs. Basically, he had enough material for albums until 3027, but decided the world wasn't ready for that much funky wisdom. Mozart wrote a whole song about butts. Known for his genius, Mozart also had the humor of a 12-year-old boy. One of his lesser-known pieces is literally titled Leck mich im Arsch, translation, Lick Me in the Butt. And yes, it was a real composition. Amadeus said high art can still be cheeky. Elvis had a pet chimpanzee that wore clothes and bit guests. His name was Scatter, and he dressed in snazzy outfits while causing complete chaos at Graceland. Guests feared him, the staff avoided him, and Elvis found it hilarious. The king of rock basically had a tiny ape bodyguard with a temper. Want more celebrity pet stories that sound like rejected sitcom plots? Smash that subscribe button and watch the full video. Because nothing says rock and roll like a chimp in a tux chasing your guests off the lawn. Dolly Parton once entered a Dolly Parton look-alike contest and lost. She secretly joined the contest just for fun. Turns out people thought she looked too fake to be the real thing. Imagine losing a contest for being too much yourself. Only Dolly could out-Dolly herself and still smile about it. Some colonies were sold like used cars. In 1867, Russia casually sold Alaska to the US for just $7.2 million. During decolonization, this vibe continued. For instance, Denmark sold the Virgin Islands to the US in 1917 for $25 million. Apparently, some countries didn't decolonize. They just ran yard sales on entire populations. Paraguay has a secret shipping obsession. Despite having no coast, Paraguay has one of the largest barge fleets in South America. They treat their rivers like express highways to the ocean. It's like building a luxury cruise terminal in your bathtub and insisting it'll make it to Miami someday. Dream big, Paraguay. Dream big. Trichinosis is meat's sneaky revenge. Caused by a charming little parasite in undercooked pork, this disease can make your muscles ache, your face swell, and your stomach launch a rebellion. Basically, the pork you didn't cook well enough decides it wants to fight you from the inside like a gladiator in a protein-powered coliseum. Goths invented the art of sweating in style. Black velvet trench coats in July? No problem. Goths will risk heatstroke just to look like a Victorian vampire with a poetry degree. If you see someone melting like a wax candle while still looking majestic, that's goth dedication. Lojban was made by logic nerds. This constructed language was created to eliminate ambiguity. It's so logical that even arguments sound like math problems. Imagine saying, I love you in Lojban, and needing a calculator to explain your emotional algorithms. Chirping dolphins have competition. Silbo Gomero, a language spoken in the Canary Islands, is all whistles. Not kind of whistles. Full-on dolphin cosplay. If you're hiking and someone calls you in Silbo, you're not sure if they're saying hello or summoning you to a secret mermaid meeting. Artificial seeds are so synthetic that they can be made in a coffee mug. Okay, not literally, but the process of making them is surprisingly low-tech. Mix some growth hormones, swirl them in calcium chloride, and boom. You've got jelly baby seeds sitting in your kitchen next to the oatmeal. Some landlocked countries brag about their beaches. Hungary, for example, proudly markets Lake Balaton as the Hungarian Sea. Locals flock to this freshwater lake like it's the Mediterranean, complete with sunbathing, water sports, and the illusion that they aren't hundreds of kilometers from the nearest coastline. Imagination is powerful, folks. The world witnessed a smoking supercentenarian. An Indonesian man, Mbah Gotho, claimed to be 146 years old and smoked like a chimney till his last breath. Doctors were probably confused whether to warn him or just give him a Lifetime Achievement Award in stubbornness. Turkey vultures sniff out death like creepy wine connoisseurs. Most birds rely on eyesight, but not these guys. Turkey vultures have an acute sense of smell so sharp that they can detect the gas of rotting meat from miles away. Picture a bird swirling a glass of eau de décomposition and declaring, "Ah yes, aged 3 days. Delightful." For that smooth, youthful complexion, Roman elites reportedly slathered on face masks made from crocodile poop. Apparently, nothing tightens pores quite like reptilian feces. Imagine telling your spa esthetician, "Yes, I'd like the Deluxe Dung treatment, please, with extra croc." In today's world of luxury skincare, people are now rubbing snail mucus on their faces in the hopes of achieving eternal youth. Yes, snails, slime, on your face. Dermatologists swear by it, but let's be honest. At some point, we just collectively gave up and said, throw the whole garden on my skin. The fizzing miracle berry. Miracle berries can make sour things taste sweet. Even lemons taste like candy. If there was ever a fruit that gaslit your tongue into eating a vinegar shot like lemonade, this is it. It fizzes in betrayal. Psychopaths often prefer bitter taste, like black coffee, tonic water, or extra dark chocolate. Scientists think this is because bitterness is linked to danger or poison, and psychopaths tend to enjoy things most people instinctively avoid. Basically, their taste buds are thrill seekers too. The USB pet rock existed. Yes, someone actually turned the original 1970s pet rock into a USB gadget that did absolutely nothing. It didn't light up, didn't store data, didn't even warm your coffee. It was just a rock with a USB cord. Proof that tech doesn't always mean progress. Sometimes it means, I dare you to buy this. Toothbrush with a built-in MP3 player was a sensation in the past. This contraption played music through your teeth using bone conduction. The idea was you'd enjoy tunes while brushing. In reality, it felt like your molars were hosting a rave and your gums didn't get the invite. Dental hygiene? More like a dental disco. Baby mop was an actual thing. Someone decided to solve parenting and cleaning in one go by turning baby onesies into floor mops. As your baby crawled around, they cleaned the floor with their tiny limbs. And it's either genius multitasking or mild child labor. Either way, your infant is now part of the janitorial staff. In multiple U.S. states, people have been arrested for driving under the influence, not in cars, but on lawnmowers. One man in Florida even tried to outrun the police on his ride-on mower after his license was revoked. Apparently, he thought mowing and fleeing were compatible sports. Spoiler, they are not. Inspired by J.R.R. Tolkien's beloved Hobbit holes, some people in New Zealand have actually built homes designed to look like the cozy underground abodes from The Lord of the Rings. These homes are often built into hillsides with round doors and windows, creating an actual fantasy world for anyone who wants to live out their hobbit dreams. No dragons allowed, though. Clocky, the runaway alarm clock, played hide and seek with you. This adorable yet sadistic alarm clock rolls off your nightstand and hides when it rings. Want to hit snooze? Too bad. You now have to chase it across the room. Nothing like a game of hide and seek at 6 a.m. to make you question your life choices. Want your face on a slice of toast? Of course you do! This selfie toaster lets you upload your selfie and then burns it onto your bread. Because nothing says, start your day with self-love like chomping down on your own face. Breakfast just got narcissistic. Some people ship live bees in boxes, and surprisingly, they've done it for centuries. The packaging is incredibly important. Without air holes or the right temperature, the bees could become agitated and aggressive. Imagine getting a package of angry bees instead of your Amazon order. Sorry, sir, your iPhone is delayed because the bees are in a mood. In one European town, a row of sandbags was set up to keep floodwater out, but the crew accidentally completed the circle and trapped the water inside. It became a medieval-style moat around a bakery. The owners had to row their croissants to safety. In 1925, someone actually tried to ship a miniature replica of the Eiffel Tower from France to the US. The scale model was so big that it required a special ship and a custom-built wooden crate. Let's just say shipping giant landmarks wasn't exactly a logistics dream, and it took more effort than actually just flying to Paris and getting one yourself. In the town of Derinku, there's an entire underground city, and people still live in cave homes. These homes are carved into the soft volcanic rock, and the entire town could once house around 20,000 people. It's like living in a historical setting but with Wi-Fi. Talk about living the ultimate under-the-radar lifestyle. Every year in Jukkasjärvi, Sweden, they build an entire hotel out of ice and snow. From the walls to the furniture, it's all frozen solid. This place is so icy that even the beds are made of ice blocks. But don't worry, they provide thermal sleeping bags to keep you from freezing into a human popsicle. How's that for chilling out? The Filipino manananggal is a horrifying folklore creature. She is a beautiful woman by day, but rips her upper body from her legs at night, sprouts bat wings, and flies around drinking blood through a long tongue. Moral of the story? Always check if your new neighbor leaves half her body behind before renting next door. Apparently, shipping human bones for research purposes is a thing. In some places, bones are legally shipped across borders, but it's a nightmare for customs. Not only do you have to pack them well to avoid breakage, but the paperwork alone could make your head spin, especially when they ask what's inside the box. And you can't say human skull with a straight face. In Germany, a sweet-looking grandma was caught smuggling stolen luxury cookies under her coat in a high-end department store. Not just any cookies, gold leaf-dusted cookies. When asked why she did it, she simply said, "Because I wanted to feel dangerous again." Move over, Ocean's 11. Granny's got a sweet tooth and a dark side. Want more wild stories where grandmas go full rogue mode? Hit subscribe and watch the full video because cookie crimes and sassy seniors make for the most unexpectedly legendary heists. A team in the US once installed a stormwater drainage system upside down. So instead of carrying water away, it dumped floodwater straight into the streets like a reverse water slide. Local residents called it the city's biggest puddle party. It cost millions and solved absolutely nothing. These oversized pumpkins, sometimes weighing over 1,000 pounds, require special shipping. They're too fragile to be tossed around like regular produce, and packing them is like prepping an object for a trip to the moon. A broken pumpkin could be a mess of epic proportions, and if you thought shipping fruit was easy, think again. Yes, shipping volcanic ash is a legitimate thing, but it's not just a matter of scooping some ash into a bag. The risk of cross-contaminating ecosystems, not to mention its fine, powdery nature, makes shipping volcanic ash a logistical nightmare. Packages like these are treated with such delicate care you'd think they were carrying the last dinosaur egg. In Israel, a man successfully robbed 2 banks using an avocado. He painted it black, claimed it was a grenade, and threatened staff. Twice. He got away with thousands before being caught. Proof that if life gives you avocados, some people make guacamole and others start a crime spree. Yes, this is real. In 2012, thieves in Quebec stole over 3,000 tons of maple syrup worth around $18 million. They siphoned it from barrels like it was oil. For months, it was the stickiest investigation in history. Imagine having syrup trafficker as your criminal title. It's both delicious and disgraceful. Campylobacter is the ninja of food poisoning. It sneaks into your system from undercooked chicken and silently wrecks your intestines. It's like the stealth assassin of the meat world. No noise, no warning, just pure digestive sabotage. And if you're really unlucky, it can trigger Guillain-Barré syndrome, where your immune system gets so confused it starts attacking your nerves like it's playing dodgeball with your spinal cord. Bearded vultures dye their feathers red on purpose. Unlike regular vultures who settle for corpse chic, bearded vultures bathe in iron-rich mud to stain themselves bright orange. Scientists aren't sure why, but guesses include intimidation or weird bird fashion. It's basically the goth teenager of the scavenger world, but with a commitment to aesthetics. Condors puke as a defense weapon. When startled or threatened, condors literally projectile vomit their stomach contents. Not just because they're scared, but because the smell is so wretched it sends predators running. Imagine being so gross that your defense mechanism is targeted barfing. It's effective and utterly revolting. In one Malaysian village, a flood-resistant floating house was proudly unveiled as a marvel of innovation. But when the floods came, it promptly sank like a brick wearing lead boots. Turns out they forgot to calculate buoyancy. The house didn't float. It just pouted underwater like a depressed submarine. In parts of the Philippines, villagers built houses on stilts to prevent future floods. But one proud homeowner accidentally built his house so high that it got struck by lightning instead. Now, every time the flood rises, he just mutters, "Choose your fighter, water, or electricity." Grape soda plant, Monarda, smells exactly like grape soda. Native Americans used it for medicinal tea, but imagine biting into a leaf expecting Sprite-level fizz and getting grass-flavored betrayal instead. Startup for lifelong trust issues. Parrots can speak better than some toddlers. Some parrots, like the African gray, don't just mimic sounds, they understand context. One famous parrot named Alex could identify colors, count, and even express frustration. That's right. While some humans struggle with basic grammar, this bird was out here correcting people like a feathery grammar snob. They dance to music, with rhythm. Unlike most animals, parrots can actually move in sync with a beat. Scientists played music for a cockatoo named Snowball, and it started headbanging like a 2000 emo kid at a My Chemical Romance concert. The bird even switched dance moves mid-song. Someone get this bird a dance crew. The thief who left his name at the scene? In 2013, a burglar in Georgia broke into a house, stole a few electronics, then logged into Facebook on the victim's computer, and forgot to log out. The police didn't even need a search warrant. They just clicked, "About me." Congrats, genius. You robbed someone and tagged yourself. A man once got arrested for assault with ketchup. In Florida, of course, he squirted a bottle of ketchup all over his sleeping girlfriend out of jealousy. The charge? Condiment battery. That's right, this man weaponized fast food toppings. We're just one mustard duel away from condimental warfare. The donut disguise disaster. In Massachusetts, a man tried to rob a convenience store by wearing a donut box on his head as a mask. Problem? There were eye holes. But he forgot to cover the rest of his face. Security footage caught everything. He basically said, "I'm here to rob you, and also promote pastries." The goat heist. In Kenya, a man was arrested for allegedly stealing a goat and then trying to marry it. The village elders forced him to pay a dowry to the goat's owner. It made headlines as one of the most awkward criminal settlements in history. Imagine explaining that to your future kids. The lawnmower getaway. A Texas man attempted to flee the scene of a robbery on a stolen riding lawnmower. Top speed? About 5 miles per hour. Police didn't even run. They walked next to him and arrested him. Honestly, the slowest chase in history probably felt more like an awkward jog with a confused uncle. In Zimbabwe, an Australian backpacker decided to swim across the Zambezi River for fun, fully aware that crocodiles live there. He got bitten, but survived. His reason? You only live once. True, but that logic nearly made sure he didn't even live to tell it. Parrots can hold grudges. If a parrot doesn't like you, it won't just squawk. It will remember and plot. Some owners report parrots side-eyeing them for days after a vet visit, like feathery mob bosses plotting revenge. One parrot reportedly shouted, "I hate you," every time its owner passed. Passive-aggressive much? They can live longer than your mortgage. Certain parrot species, like macaws, can live over 80 years. So adopting a parrot isn't a pet. It's a generational commitment. Imagine being 90 and arguing with a bird that still mimics your ex's voice. That's not a pet. That's a sassy ghost with feathers. Some parrots get addicted to swearing. In a UK wildlife park, 5 parrots had to be separated because they kept encouraging each other to swear at visitors. The staff feared a profanity pandemic. Imagine walking through a lovely bird exhibit and being told off by a tiny feathered sailor with attitude. A man in England woke up after a wild night with YOLO inked across his forehead, all because his friend dared him, and he wanted to live in the moment. Plot twist. He had a job interview the next day. He did not get the job, but hey, YOLO. In Canada, a man tried to hug a wild moose for a selfie, whispering YOLO as he approached it. Spoiler alert, the moose chased him down. He wasn't injured, but the park fined him for disturbing wildlife. YOLO almost became "you obviously love obstacles." Hungary once had the worst inflation ever. Prices doubled every 15 hours. In 1946, post-war Hungary invented financial chaos by letting its currency, the pengo, spiral into madness. They printed quadrillion pengo banknotes. That's a 1 with 15 zeros. Eventually, they gave up and just started counting in mil pengos, millions of pengos, because math gave up too. One cult thought the world would end because of laundry detergent, the Japanese cult. Pana Wave Laboratory believed electromagnetic waves from washing machines and cell towers were destroying Earth. So they dressed entirely in white, wrapped everything, including cars and trees, in white cloth, and tried to warn the world. Unfortunately, the world was too busy doing laundry. There's a cult that believes their leader is the reincarnation of Jesus and Elvis. Somewhere in the American South, a small group follows a man who claims he's the divine fusion of rock and roll and resurrection. They celebrate Holy Communions with peanut butter and banana sandwiches, and Sunday services may or may not include karaoke. A cult tried to outlaw the color orange. The anti-orange movement was led by a group in Thailand who believed the color orange signified chaos and doom. They avoided orange food, clothing, and even sunsets. Somewhere, a carrot cried. Meanwhile, the cult's leader wore only neutral shades, as if beige could save the universe. Germany once had kids play with stacks of money instead of toys. During the Weimar Republic, hyperinflation in the 1920s, banknotes were so worthless that people made kites, wallpaper, and even used them as firewood. Children literally played with wheelbarrows full of cash. Parents would rather give them 10 million marks to build a fort than buy a toy. There was a cult that worshipped a flying spaghetti monster. Yes, the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster is real. Started as a satirical protest against teaching intelligent design in schools, it somehow got legally recognized in several countries. Members wear colanders on their heads and believe heaven has a beer volcano and a stripper factory. Honestly, sounds better than some actual religions. Craving more bizarre belief systems that sound like they were cooked up during a late-night pasta binge? Hit subscribe and watch the full video, because nothing says divine enlightenment like carbs, chaos, and colanders. In Venezuela, inflation turned fried chicken into a luxury meal. By 2018, buying a rotisserie chicken in Venezuela could cost you millions of bolivars. Chicken shops posted guards because the value of a crispy drumstick was more than a month's salary. That's not lunch. It's high-stakes poultry. In Yugoslavia, salaries were paid twice a day. Hyperinflation in the 1990s was so bad that workers rushed out in their lunch breaks to spend their morning pay before it became worthless by evening. If you waited too long, your salary could buy you a pack of gum instead of groceries. Productivity, optional, urgency, mandatory. Sneezes can trigger other sneezes like a sneeze domino. Ever notice that if someone sneezes, suddenly everyone nearby does too? That's not a coincidence. That's photic sneeze reflex and group psychology teaming up. It's a sneeze chain reaction. And if you start it in a lecture hall, congrats, you've just gone viral in the most nasal way possible. There's a country inside a country inside a country. In Rome, Italy, lies Vatican City, an independent country. Inside Vatican City is a building that's part of Italy. It's like geographical Russian dolls, but with more politics, incense, and awkward border crossings for a bathroom break. Octopuses have 3 hearts, and they stop beating when they swim. Imagine going for a jog and your heart just yeets out of responsibility. Octopuses are like, I'll swim, but not without drama. 2 hearts pump blood to the gills, and the 3rd to the body. But when swimming, that one just checks out. There's a perpetual fire burning in Turkmenistan called the Door to Hell. Scientists set a gas crater on fire in 1971, thinking it would burn off in a few weeks. Joke's on them. It's still burning. It's like the Earth itself had indigestion and lit a fart that never went out. You can get a camel kiss whether you want it or not. Some camels express affection by swinging their giant heads and nuzzling, or accidentally headbutting the rider. If you've ever wanted a face massage from a sand-scented wrecking ball, you're in luck. Salmonella is the foodborne drama queen. Found in raw meat and poultry, this little bacterial diva can cause vomiting, diarrhea, fever, and the realization that you're never eating steak tartare again. It's like your gut decided to host a chaotic dinner party without asking your permission. Goth clubs are just spooky hugs with music. You walk in expecting a vampire ritual, but it's mostly polite people sipping dark cocktails and complimenting each other's boots. The spookier they look, the more likely they are to say, "Oh my god, your eyeliner is flawless." A German town made wooden money during a cash shortage. During a post-World War I currency crisis, the town of Tenningen literally made money out of wood called Notgeld. It worked until termites got involved. Turns out when your wallet doubles as a termite buffet, the economy becomes an all-you-can-eat disaster. Sneezes were once thought to expel evil spirits. In ancient times, people believed sneezes kicked out demons trying to possess you. That's why everyone kept shouting, "Bless you." They thought you just narrowly avoided becoming the next horror movie protagonist, which honestly makes a triple sneeze way more intense than it needs to be. The 1995 Jumanji movie used actual real animals on set, briefly. For some scenes, they used real elephants and monkeys before switching to CGI, but things got so unpredictable that Wranglers probably aged 10 years in 1 week. Imagine trying to direct a monkey not to upstage Robin Williams. It's a losing battle. The cursed board game actually exists, kind of. After the film's popularity, a real Jumanji board game was made. Thankfully, it doesn't summon floods or carnivorous vines. But still, the dice move a little too easily. If your grandma disappears mid-turn, don't say we didn't warn you. Winter wolves can smell you from 1.75 miles away through snow. That's right. These fluffy snow ninjas have noses so powerful they could probably find your lost socks buried under a snowdrift and judge your hygiene habits while they're at it. Hiding from one? Good luck. They already know you skipped breakfast. The paws of winter wolves grow winter boots. Wolves don't buy Uggs when it snows. Their paws develop a thicker, coarser pad fur during winter, essentially turning them into silent, murdery snowshoes. Meanwhile, humans are out here slipping on icy sidewalks like malfunctioning giraffes. Jockeys can legally weigh less than a large Thanksgiving turkey. Professional jockeys often weigh around 108 pounds, which is less than a fully dressed holiday bird. This leads to absurd practices like sweating in saunas for hours and eating cotton balls to feel full, because nothing screams peak athleticism like pretending food is a ghost. In Mongolia, toddlers ride horses before they can walk properly. Mongolian kids don't wait for training wheels. They're tossed onto horses as early as 2 years old, because why crawl when you can gallop into adulthood? Meanwhile, toddlers elsewhere are still figuring out how spoons work. In Antarctica, scientists have to schedule grocery runs months in advance. By plane, forgot to buy eggs? Tough luck, you'll get some in spring. Errands at the South Pole involve planning, cargo flights, and praying the penguins haven't stolen your supply drop. It's less running to the store and more surviving the plot of a low-budget Arctic thriller. In Tokyo, there's a guy who runs errands for people, but only emotionally awkward ones. He literally gets paid to show up as a stranger to accompany you through situations like breakups, therapy, or buying embarrassing products. Yes, if you need emotional support to buy adult diapers at 2 a.m., he's your man. In rural Mongolia, herders ride camels for mobile banking errands. That's right, instead of standing in line at a bank, they ride across frozen steppes on giant, groaning fluff beasts just to pay bills. ATMS, internet banking? Nah. Real banking is when your ride has humps and spits. During the Prague Spring in 1968, when Soviet tanks rolled in, Czech and Slovak citizens didn't just throw rocks. They tried to fight off tanks with broadcasting equipment. They hijacked TV and radio stations to broadcast anti-occupation messages, outsmarting a literal military invasion with microphones and sarcastic commentary. Punk rock before punk rock existed. There was once a law in Czechoslovakia banning excessive whistling. Yes, because apparently someone was so aggressively cheerful or annoying that it became a legal issue. The government didn't want people whistling patriotic or mocking tunes in protest, so they cracked down on happy noises. Talk about dictatorship meets cartoon sound effects. And there you have it. Goats getting married, lawnmower getaways, crocodile daredevils, and parrots with the emotional range of a soap opera villain. From Kenyan dowry disasters to parrots that hold grudges longer than your in-laws. We've officially hit peak weirdness. If today's video didn't make you question humanity and fear birds just a little, were you even paying attention? So, before a parrot curses you out in 3 languages or a goat shows up in a wedding dress demanding alimony, smash that like button, subscribe for more bizarre brilliance, and ring the bell. Because here, reality is optional and weird is the main course. Catch you next time on Why Is This Even Real?